Hi again. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. My name is Gabrielle, and I'll be hosting you through today's exclusive BoostCamp Workshop. So as the name implies, today's goal is to boost your startup. Yes, raising your StartupOS score on the platform is absolutely key as we begin onboarding investors. But more importantly, it's an opportunity to boost your understanding of the startup landscape itself. So you're all here because of your hard work and energy on StartupOS. So we want to make sure that you have the tools, the support, and the knowledge that you need to keep your momentum going and to get you in front of investors during one of our future pitch day events. So my name is Gabrielle. I'm the lead content designer here at StartupOS, and I'm here to help you and your startup move towards success by connecting you with the tools and the guidance you need to learn and grow along your journey. So my goal here is to keep you updated on exciting StartupOS events and upcoming pitch days. I'm also here to help guide you through both the StartupOS platform and your own personal startup journey. So without further ado, this brings us to our agenda for today. Today's agenda consists of introductions, including myself and Paul, our CEO, and Lisa, our Chief Experience and Design Officer. Paul will take you through the importance of boosting both your score and your startup knowledge, followed by an in-depth look at StartupOS's founder story and value proposition, which combined can increase your StartupOS score up to 30 points. Next, Lisa will take you through the importance of persona building and why customer experience and human-centered design is so fundamental as you build out your startup. Hint, if any of you have already completed our Pitch Perfect Power Pack, these names should all sound familiar to you. So last but not least, we'll have some Q&A if there is time. All right, so I'm going to hand over the reins to Paul Pluschkell, CEO of StartupOS. Take it away, Paul.
Thank you, Gabrielle. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for joining us this early morning, Friday Boost Camp. Real special shout out to our Lisa and Gabrielle for putting this together in these weekly events that are going to help you navigate you along the StartupOS journey. If we can go to the next slide. I'm going to have a quick 60-second infomercial because I'm so excited for you what's coming to our platform. At the end of this month, we've already stated we're launching the investor or the opportunity dashboard. This is a chance for VCs, angels, PE firms, corporate business development to take a look inside the underpinnings of what's making your startup tick and giving them an opportunity to pull you into their discussions as opposed to you pushing into theirs all the time. Couldn't be more excited about this. This is the second side of our platform, and it's almost here. Next slide, please. With that, we give you the opportunity to create an incredible scouting report. So if you're the Chiefs and you're going to play the Eagles, you want to scout. You want to see what their tendencies are, what they're doing, where they're going. This is a chance for you to shine more than just a pitch deck or very, very tactical. This is showing some of the strategy and the work that you've done and the product market fit. And it's giving investors a whole new look and other people that want to look at your company, a whole new insight to you that you can share with the world. And finally, we're also coming out with what we call our StartupOS score, and that's the reason for this boost session today. This score is a benchmark. It's a benchmark against you, against other startups and similar, raising seed capital, getting first customer, just kind of seeing where you're at, where they're at, how your traction's going. And it's really a personal score for you. This is your motivation and navigation to see how you're doing, how you're getting through, the timing, the velocity, the product market fit. So this is a personal score. It's just something to guide you along the journey and path if you so choose. All right, great. So let's go to the next slide and let's begin our first power up. I asked to take this one because I think this is everything. I've been to a couple of hundred meetings on Sand Hill Road and I've pitched. And I've always found one thing, that if I have a really great conversation before I open my slide deck, there's much better collaboration and traction in the room and a much better chance of getting a second or to a partner meeting. And what do I mean by that? This is the time where you're closed and you're having a conversation. They're learning about you, the founder. What makes you tick? Who are you? Why are you here? Where do you plan to go? And the more believable, incredible, and authentic you can make this story, and it's what you're doing to the market, but your personal connection to that, what we call the founder origin story, is everything. So let me give you a few examples. Next slide, please. So you're thinking, well, what's my story? What's unique? Well, you either have a really unique story that you know right off the bat, or you can go in different modes. So there's, David versus Goliath. Netflix wasn't first, but they came out digitally, and Blockbuster was certainly the Goliath, right? And I know the book by Seth Moore that David actually had the real with the slingshot. He had the real benefit, but keep in mind, you're a smaller player taking on a really larger player, and people love that story. They love, when the underdog can win. Our story here at StartupOS is more a quest. It's like your life's mission. I'm going to tell you the StartupOS founder origin story, and you'll see that it's been a life's mission. Like it's just been a journey and a path that has led me here and us here together today. And then probably the best story of all time for the feel-good story is Impact and Purpose in Patagonia. If you have a chance, read their story. I mean, it's too good to be true. And it's a wonderful story about someone who loved to climb and hike and be outdoors, and how many patents and things he changed the world. And then when he realized that he could have an impact and purpose on the whole on Earth, he really solidified his mission. So just a wonderful story on Patagonia. So those are some of my inspirations, some ways for you to look at, do I want a hero, a villain, a quest, an impact, a purpose? Next slide, please. So when you do your power up, you'll notice that there are 3 acts. And we're going to modify this power up slightly at the end of the month, but right now, when you complete the 3 acts, those 3 acts are guiding lines. After you complete the 3 acts, that's when you have to take and write your cohesive founder story. So like all great movies, saying things, whether it's going to be a 2.5-hour feature film or it's a 30-second to 2-minute overview, you can tell a story with these acts. So let's go to the next slide, and I'll give you an example. So we all know Harry Potter. And so Harry is growing up. He's an orphan living with his aunt and uncle. He's living in the closet, right? Life's not too good. And then suddenly he learns he's a wizard. I mean, imagine that. Like all of a sudden you learn you're a wizard, and he gets invited to Hogwarts in the witchery school. So then we go into the second act, and this is where Harry's attending the school. And he makes some really good friends, right? All these movies, the 9 movies, the great friends are together. And this is where he learns about the evil Lord Voldemort. And so now, oh my gosh, what's happening? All these great people, and now there's evil. And in the final act, he has to save all of Hogwarts. And through his journey, he learns of courage and friendship. So you just took a 2.5-hour movie, and you could actually tell a really compelling story in about a minute or 2 by breaking it down into these 3 components. And you have to get connected. So let's go to the next slide. And I apologize in advance that, on the last one, I'm going to read it to you, but I want you to just feel the impact. So we had a lot of villains in ours. Like, why do startups fail? Well, they run out of capital. They have no market need. They get outcompeted, flawed business model, not the right team. So we had enough villains to compete with, and things, that could motivate us. And then finally, the next slide, please. So let me read to you our founder story. So I've spent my whole life being a serial entrepreneur, having started companies like MXNet, Spigot, Candy, Club Lab, and others. I love to solve problems and build. I love building. After a recent successful exit, a good friend of mine who works in the incubation program at SVB gave me a call. In fact, he was a senior executive, one of my past startups. So this whole thing about your network connecting, value your relationships. We discussed how we could increase the quantity and quality of startups by creating an all-in-one founder operating system. And the real reason was to democratize access to innovation, tools, guidance, capital, things that a lot of people don't have access to. It was like my dream come true, having founded 5 startups and quitting my first job, and it's a true story, as CTO of a very large company in my 20s with 2 kids and a ton of responsibility. I learned the hard path of what it takes to be a startup founder. And I'm so appreciative of all of you and the hard work that you do out here to get here, because this is not easy. If it was easy, everybody would have a unicorn, right? This is not easy at all. It takes a lot of no's to get a yes. But now we're going to tackle these key founder challenges with you. So I said, yes, I'm all in. So what do? We conducted hundreds of interviews. I think we have almost 10 gigabytes of data from interviews. Now, was that too many? Maybe, but we learned the 3 biggest pain points and how we needed to start this platform. We also spoke with hundreds of investors to learn what information they required and how they source deals. And then we started building a platform, little parts of a platform. We did a little network, a little community, a couple of power-ups, learn by doing tools. We kept putting it in the market, iterating. This is our 3rd Pitch Perfect event. And this is, almost identical when I think about adjacent markets to something I built 20 years ago in the financial markets, connecting buyers and sellers in an open marketplace that we called liquidity. But now the liquidity is based on venture capitals, angels, startup founders, and teams and partners. So we took this idea even further. It was funded for a seed round of $8.6 million by SVB. We currently have 20 employees. We just completed our most successful month actually ever. We added over 1,300 startups in February alone. And it's early. It's really early in our journey. We're starting to feel product market fit. We have 3,500 startups on our platform. We'll soon have 10,000. We're going to bring investors on in Q2. We'll soon have hundreds. And we have so many of you who have validated our mission. So my last slide on the founder story, and I like to share these, like, how do you talk about product market fit before you have product market fit? How do you talk about revenue when you really don't have $1 million of MRR? Well, so here's a quote from somebody just yesterday in a mentorship. The support you provided already is outstanding. It's not just the practical help that is important. It's also the feeling of having the support of a team of caring experts behind you. It has really given me additional confidence to power forward. What you are creating at StartupOS is right in the sweet spot. So, you know, I'm proud. I'm just so proud of our team. I'm just proud of everybody here that's a startup that's on this early AM call because they want to make a difference in the world and have an impact. And so if you can get a founder origin story with that kind of passion and sit in front of investors before you open your pitch deck, you have a much better chance of a real successful outcome.
All right. Now on to value proposition.
Our value prop power up is very simple and easy. So if you can go to the next slide, and it's very meaningful. We help you do by doing unlike. And so it's simple, targeted, benefit, challenge, different. And this is where you have to really differentiate yourself, right? Are you a David and Goliath story? Are you some disruptive brand new technology? But you really have to give it the thought and wherewithal for the impact of what you're doing. So let's go to the next slide. So there's some really great inspirations, right? I think Google's is to organize the world's information. Nike's to bring inspiration, innovation to every athlete in the world. I don't know if you've seen the new Nike documentary. It's pretty amazing how Phil Knight hired a head of sales to just go completely bank the whole company on going after Michael Jordan. I mean, that takes some guts. Like, you know, that's crazy. Like, you know, you're going to go get one of the most prominent people and you're going to bank your whole company on that. Netflix is streaming service and you know, they keep refining it. Patagonia, which, you know, again, I told you how great it is. Build the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, use business to inspire and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. And remember, this has been additive, right? As they were more successful and they could actually do more good for the world, they kept adding to their mission and value statement, which is wonderful. And then Apple. So it's really unique. What you want out of a value proposition statement is you want anyone in your company to be asked, what do you do and why? And be able to answer really succinctly of how you do it. So here is, you know, one that we continually refine here at StartupOS. Lisa, why don't you read this for me? Because your voice is much better than mine.
So our platform helps aspiring founders everywhere who want to transform their great ideas into successful ventures by providing access to community, mentoring, capital, and tools to streamline the entire startup journey and inspire founders to take action. And I want to speak to this just for a second. It's so near and dear to my heart when I really think about providing a landscape. And when we say all and everywhere, we actually mean it. This platform, it's like the heart and soul, almost the nervous system of what your startup can basically leverage, use, or even you have resources all around you within our platform to be able to build and grow your startup. That is something that we offer to every founder, all founders everywhere, which is unique if you really think about it in industry today. So I just wanted to throw that out into the ether. This is not a platform where we say this is a criteria that you need to meet in order for you to join. This is a platform where we really do welcome all startups with the most creative, most inventive, most amazing ideas. So bring it, right? And we have so many different channels for you to contact us if you have questions about our platform. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Lisa, thank you so much. And I wanted you to hear Lisa say that because this is not the value proposition for the founder or the CEO. This is the value proposition for your company. So all of your employees are going to interpret this. They're going to have their own component add-ons to it. And it's just going to make it great. And we discuss this all the time. So that was perfect, Lisa. Thank you so much. I hope this helps with value proposition. I think the founder origin story was pretty clear cut. And this next one's a doozy. So I'm going to hand it off to Lisa, and it's wonderful. Thanks, Lisa.
No problem. So it is time for Persona Builder. I'm very, very passionate about this part because we're going to head straight away into what we call customer experience. So if you will go to the next slide. I am Lisa Hoover, the Chief Experience and Design Officer here. When I talk about Pitch Perfect 3, I'm so passionate about it for so many reasons. It's not just a forum, right, for you to potentially pitch in front of investors. We offer this monthly, okay? And I'm going to say, I'll put a little note under that saying, it might not be exactly this time every month, but we are going to try. With Pitch Perfect 3, it's important that you're ready for it. What does that mean? It's very hard. We go through this process of watching startups get onto our platform. You know, there might be struggle along the way. So we are actually using customer experience ourselves to help inform the platform, improve it, and make it better for you. But again, what does Pitch Perfect 3 mean? Paul had mentioned it earlier. We want you in there to raise your score, to do this amazing work, to be able to really increase that score, get your pitch deck uploaded, which ends at 3 p.m. today for everyone who is here on this 3 p.m. Eastern time, I'm sorry. Once you do that, you can be assessed and you can actually be one of the top 5 who go straight away and pitch in front of investors. So we're going to talk about customer experience throughout your human-centered design journey, and also the types of research and artifacts that you can produce on our platform. I'm just going to go through one example, which is our persona builder. So if we can go to the next slide, please. I always love to start, as Paul did as well. I love quotes. Why do I love them? Because the quotes aren't just coming from famous people. They can come from everyday people. The way that you ingest customer experience is important. Customer experience, and I'll get into that in a minute, it's really the totality of how people interact with your brand. Your customers come first. Without them, without the people, without the users who are actually engaging in your product, without finding that product market fit, that's really difficult for a startup. So you have to make sure that you're constantly engaging with your customers. The clearer things are with them, you really do know how to effectively improve your product, to engage them, and to keep your product growing. And, you know, over time, your brand becomes more recognized. When Paul said Nike, I did this whole entire webinar series in my prior life on Nike. It is a triple threat. So Paul, like, you talk about Nike as you know, an entity being inspiring. When I talk about triple threat, and I'll get into brand in a second, it really is their textual logo, their iconic logo. When you see Just Do It, it does something to you. It really does inspire you. So I do love that you brought Nike into the fold, Paul. And then we talk about, oh, I don't know, you might have heard of him, Bill Gates. Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. If you have friends telling you on the constant, hey, your product is awesome, how do you know where it's flawed, right? So it's important that you do human-centered design research to be able to grab information from your users so you can continuously improve, okay? I will say this, Microsoft didn't get to where they are from not doing the research. So the best way to find out what your customers want is to ask them. Again, that research is so fundamental to you being able to improve your startup, your services, your solutions, the people that you employ. It's really important that you ask customers. So let's go to that next slide. All right, I'm going to break this down. Customer experience, human-centered design. When people hear those terms, CX, HCD, they're buzzwords, right? Or they're buzz acronyms. I want to break it down, and I'll do it quickly. Customer experience really is the total overall experience that a customer has. So if you're looking at something like Nike, it's amazing. They have this digital online platform. You can go and you can just buy shoes. You can customize and personalize them. There's so much you can do with Nike, right? But hold on. If you're here in DC, like me, you can go straight away into their store, right? They have this 3-level, it might be taller, this incredible store where you can go in brick and mortar and you can have this other experience. Customer experience isn't just about that, right? It's not just about brick and mortar. It's not just about going online. It's every part of that journey, right? You walk into Target, you have a cart. Did that cart squeak? How does it smell? Like, what are the different things that you're getting from the experience? How's the flooring? Does it feel clean? Does it feel amazing? Do they have enough products on the shelves? Your total experience with the brand impacts you, right? Therefore, customers are impacted by your brand. So it's important to understand how you put yourselves out there, not just as product market fit, but also as a whole organization. Why does it matter? Because a positive customer experience will increase loyalty. You've all heard NPS. You've all heard of CSAT. You want to make sure that as you're moving along through your journey, your customers are happy and satisfied, because a negative CX, you lose those customers, negative word of mouth, and decreased revenue. I have a friend. He purchased an item from a store, which I will not name. The threading started to come undone. He was very upset and he boycotted that store, a place he had been shopping for 10 years. So you really want to make sure that as you're building your personas, as you're doing the work and you're identifying who your target market is, you really understand how to service them properly. So human-centered design, what is it? These are almost like a battery of different types of techniques. If you're really talking about the research side of it, you have surveys, you have interviews, you have workshops, you need it. When we talk about persona builder, how do you build a persona unless you do the research? So your personas, you can have up to 20, but if you don't have the data to back up who your personas are, it's difficult to be able to extract it and to be able to develop it. So again, doing the work, understanding your target market, understanding your customers, learning how to create the differentiated personas, it's very important. It helps to reduce, and I'm going to read it, reduces the risk of failure, right? You don't want your UX team, your product team, who work tirelessly, right, for your company. You don't want them producing the wrong thing, right? They fail you, the product fails, the customers are unhappy, they leave. They go to that next great thing, okay? It encourages collaboration and empathy. Human-centered design, when you're really deep in that research, you can ask those questions, right? They're more empathic at times. You understand how they feel, how they think. You can do empathy mapping to understand that. So it's important that you do that work and you really collaborate in this, like, I want to say, more community felt environment. It also helps to create products and services that are more user friendly. So again, going back to the risk of failure, you want to create the product that isn't just something they want. You can use it. That's super important when you actually go to market. Okay. It can lead to more innovative and creative solutions. We do that every single day here at StartupOS. We are constantly innovating to the point where our ideation sessions, we've actually called it the mighty canvas. We've even coined our own phrase for it because it's so important to do that work in your startup. You can create something, but keep iterating, keep going for that improvement. It can also lead to more ethical and responsible design. People talk about it, but we really uphold it here at StartupOS. You have to think about accessibility. There are people who cannot actually access your tools. You have to be sure that when you say ethical, responsible design, you're actually employing it into your products because not everyone can access them the same way. So keep that in mind. This framework, I'm only going to touch the two bubbles because I've already talked about it. That question mark is your challenge. So what is a challenge, or what are you going into market to do? You want to do that research again. You want to identify who your personas are. So in order to do that, you have your challenge, you go into that first bubble, and that's really where I'm going to stop. Discovery is research, okay? Defining is really the persona work that you do. You want to do your discovery work with HCD techniques. You want to be able to gather and extract research, findings, I want to say feedback, sentiment, all of those things from your users during discovery. It can be very intense. It'll be workshop-based, at times focus groups, usability labs, what have you, or just interviews, behavioral studies. You want to get that research because you want to know who your audience is, and then define. When you go into define, you start to synthesize that data, right? When you synthesize it, you say, wow, I found my first customer. And then guess what? You come to our platform. As you're building your startup, you can plop that information right in, and it can help you to develop who that persona is. So this is the end, right? This is the finale. You can create up to 1,000, so like no one's doing that. But if you go into the StartupOS platform, what's beautiful about it is you don't just create one persona. As you're doing your research, you might have 10, you might have 20. One persona might be a demographic of individuals born within this time frame who are interested in this type of feature, who have these, and now look at the persona. These goals, these aspirations, they have this type of motivation in their life. We really do summarize it here. It's important to see it. So let's just say you're going to an investor. Let's just say an investor is looking at you, as Paul mentioned, with our tool in our platform. They're looking at your scouting report. They're going to see this information. When they see it, they're going to say, wow, they did their homework. They really understand their persona. They really understand who these representations are. And so it only helps you to actually do that work. Now, what is the beauty in the score? I'm going to tie it all back in, and then I'm going to hand it back to Gabrielle. Why it's beautiful in doing the persona work. You do 4, okay? You can actually add 20 points to your score in just doing 4. You can do more, of course. If you have 20, that's fantastic. But in increasing that score, it gives you a better opportunity to sit in front of those investors. So I would encourage and I would encourage all the work that is being done here in our Power Ups, especially when you're looking at things like Persona Builder, because it really does become foundational to building your startup. So that is it for me. I will hand it back to Gabrielle. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Lisa, for the wonderful walkthroughs. So before we conclude the workshop, I want to cover a few things. So one is that we'll be having monthly pitch events moving forward. So as many of you probably already know by now, today's the last day to apply for Pitch Perfect 3, which will be held on March 15th. If you are selected to pitch, we'll be reaching out to you next week regarding next steps. And if you do not make it this round, we will have plenty more events and opportunities to come in the months ahead. And two, as promised, the first 10 that applied for today's BoostCamp workshop and are in attendance today will be contacted by our success team over the next week about having a personalized demo session with Paul. So this demo will take place between Pitch Perfect 3 and Pitch Perfect 4, and it's an amazing way to get a fresh set of eyes on your work. So if you're invited, be sure to work on those pitch decks and come ready for some feedback. So while we're just out of time and won't be able to open the floor to Q&A today, I did see a few questions come in regarding the deadline for today's Pitch Perfect 3, which as a reminder ends at 3 p.m. EST or 12 p.m. Pacific time. So that is the last time to submit your pitch decks for consideration. If you have any more in-depth questions, please shoot us an email at success@startupos.com or message us in the platform. Also, please be sure to check your inboxes as we'll be sending you all a survey. We always want to check in with all of you and hear about how we're doing and how your experience with us has been so far. So please take 60 seconds to send in your opinion and thoughts, as it would be greatly appreciated by all of us here at StartupOS. So thank you again for taking the time to join us.
I'm sorry, just real quick, because there were two questions about how to apply. So maybe we can just cover those. You submit your pitch deck in your profile this time, as opposed to through email. And by submitting your pitch deck, is that how they apply, Lisa, or is there another formal application?
No. So the beauty of this particular PP3, as we are actually evolving our platform, is that honestly, go ahead and upload that pitch deck. You must finish your profiles to at least 80%. So please get that done. And then you'll be in consideration. And also, if you have the time, we would encourage you to finish at least 3 or 4 power-ups so that you can get that score up. So all of this all ties in, but again, please get those pitch decks uploaded today. 3 p.m. Eastern time is when we cut off. Okay, and of course, if you have an amazing pitch deck and you contact us at any one of these different channels, Success at StartupOS, or message us in the app, you can still be under consideration, but we do like to see our founders hit those deadlines. So that's really how.
Thank you, ladies. Awesome job. And I hope everybody loved Lisa's new designs. When you see the new software, it just rocks. So good luck, and we'll hopefully see you at Pitch Perfect 3.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.